What's going on, guys? Ryan here. Gonna go ahead and do a nice little video to give a little bit of update of exactly how the car is sitting now and what we're gonna do to prepare for this upcoming track event that I've already signed up for in early May. So specifically, it's the Driver's Edge, May 6th, May 7th. The last event that we went to, which is the cause for kind of tearing down the car, was the timing cover had a leak. It had a hole that I cut into it, which, it's for clearance for the alternator that I installed the Power by the Hour front runner kit. But now that that was torn down, it's reassembled. We don't have any leaks, but now we're going to start working on the fine tuning and the upgrades to the car to see if we can't pull out a faster lap time than the minute 55 that I ran on the last event. And I'm pretty stoked about it. I feel like that was a decent lap time. I know there's so much more in the car. I think on April 19th, I've scheduled an alignment to be done. So a track alignment at a true performance shop that's going to do a track alignment for the car. That's going to be pretty exciting. They're also going to double check a couple things for me. And next, I do need to put some fresh brake pads on here. The brake pads that are on there, they're not going to last even half the day on the first day. So I'm going to put some fresh pads onto the car front and rear. All right, so let me show you what I got for the pedal up. So this is my brake and clutch pedal assembly. This is the Willwood reverse mount master pedal assembly, with the 3 compact master cylinders. So obviously this is my clutch. I'm using a 7/8 bore Willwood compact. I'm using this is the 7/8 for the rear brakes, and kind of what you just saw right here. This is going to be the 3/4 inch master cylinder that I'm going to use for my new front brakes. My old one was leaking. It wasn't sealing. Fluid was getting past the O-ring, and fluid was getting all over the place. So I was kind of seeing that just needs to be replaced, and it finally came in the mail. So yeah, I think that's the main things that's going to improve my lap times. Is 1, getting a decent alignment. 2, increasing the brake bite, that initial brake bite, to get the car slowed down and set up and settled for the turn. And then for the most part, we got no more leaks. We got no oil leaks because we fixed that. We're not going to have any more brake leaks because we discovered that one, and now we're addressing that. Something else that I bought, which, if you're having trouble, so I bought these because my brake lines were having trouble sealing when I tightened them onto a master cylinder. It's because I've taken them on and off so many times, and they've been bent and kinked and all sorts of stuff like that. So buying new steel lines is so cheap. Each one of these is like $3 a line. They're pre-made to a certain length, and then they're so easy to bend. It's just, bend them real easy. So these are going to seal real nicely. I'm also going to clean up the tubing going in and out of the cab of the car. And yeah, little improvements here, there, and everywhere. Now, along with all this happening, obviously I had to empty out all my fluid for the brakes. So just to give you guys a little clue, I'm using Motul RBF 660 brake fluid. So if you guys were interested. Yeah. So something else that I got that I'm going to be adding to the car is these G-force recovery straps. So one out of here. So when you go racing on the track, and for some unfortunate reason you spin out, fly off the track, miss the turn, overshoot it, you get put in the grass, and you can't get traction, or for some reason or something, right? Where you can't drive the car back onto the track continue your go back to the pits or whatever. If you don't have a place where they're going to latch onto your car, they got to get creative, and it's usually leads to damage. So to avoid damaging my car, the bodywork, or anything like that, I've got 2 of these racing straps. So here's a second one. So I got a second 2 of these racing straps, right? So both these racing straps will go onto the car. They're going to bolt on. So obviously this is good for like a 1/2 inch bolt. I plan to this one's going to stick out like a tongue out of the front, kind of in between the front valance and the splitter on the Mustang. And the other one, it's going to go back on the back of the car. Being that this is kind of a unibody car, I think that the strongest structural integrity or integral, I'm lost words. Anyways, I think the strongest part to bolt this to the back of the car is going to be where the bumper bolts up to the back of the car. Because that's attached to the subframe. Subframe's pretty sturdy, along with it getting connected to the rest of the rear suspension and subframe. So that's what we're going to do. For the front, there's a cross beam that's attached to the cross member that this is going to get bolted to. And we'll just give ourselves just a little bit of a deal that so we can hook up if we do sped out. Here is the basically what I use to bolt up. This right here is such a pain in the ass to actually bolt up to the car. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna refabricate a new mount that will make things easier so it just bolts up from the bottom. Let's go ahead and unbox one of these master cylinders straight from Willwood. So we got our little warnings, of course. You want to make sure that you do all your proper work. You don't want to go driving down the road untested. And then we got some nice little stickers. Nice. Owner's manuals with part numbers. And then here are, get that down there. And then here's basically what's going to come into one of these compact master cylinder kits. Obviously, we have the master cylinder. We have the compact reservoir. This is what we're going to be using. They also have a remote reservoir setup. So in case you want this reservoir or this reservoir to be mounted somewhere other than to the top of this guy, this is what you're going to need. You'll need this because this can hold your, let's pull this out. So pulling this out, obviously you can see how this is meant to like mount to the front of the firewall or something like that. And then you got your little hose attachment right there. And then they do provide you a hose. You can see it's wrapped around the outside of this. And then you have your little hose clamp, which is going to help seal the reservoir to your master cylinder. So, and pretty much you unbox it, it's ready to go. You fill it up with fluid, and we're going to take it over to the vise and bench bleed all 3 of these master cylinders, and we'll reattach them back onto the pedal assembly where we will reinstall to the car. All right. So got the old brake lines out. So this is what I want to do now. So I don't need to exactly trash these. I think they're usable. But what for a temporary use, of course. What I'm going to end up doing is, when you get new master cylinders, or you take old existing master cylinders like we have off the car now, they're out of fluid, they're empty of fluid, there's air. So to eliminate, and I know this to be the best way to eliminate air bubbles within the master cylinder, is to bench bleed them. Well, of course, I want to run lines that are going to be permanently installed to the car, which are those sitting on top of the car at the moment and not installed. We'll get there. I'm going to repurpose these guys, and I'll bend them to where they recirculate back into the I'll recirculate them when they go back into the reservoir. That way, it'll give us a perfect kind of bleed, and they'll be good to go as soon as we go to install the whole assembly back into the car. And of course, after we refabricate that one mount just to make our lives easier. Also, this could make it a little bit more sturdier by adding some rigidity to it. So all right. I think I'm going crazy here, okay? So here's the old 3/4 inch bore. And I'm trying to get one of these 90s onto the damn thing, but it's not wanting to thread. It's like the threads here are messed up or I sure hope not. That'd be a pain in the ass. Go through the hassle of, okay, ship it back, get a new one. It is like the engagement's like almost, thread engagement is almost there, but it's like not, okay. Well, just found out why that fitting's not going on. So the difference between the fitting that went on this old one to this new one is this is a 3/8 by 24 thread, and this is a 1/8 by 27. So I got the wrong thread machined over here. Oh, shucks, I was so close. Okay, so the reason why my new master cylinder, I was sitting so long trying to get these little 90s on here, it's a different thread pitch. So I'm not going to get the tap and die set out. I've already scrolled up on Amazon, got some of these fittings with the correct thread count. I got the wrong part number, but at the same time, I know that the rest of this is going to bolt right on up to my pedal assembly. We're going to have to wait until tomorrow for those fittings to get in to kind of continue. But for the most part, I actually can probably start bench bleeding these two, get them bolted back up to the pedal assembly, and I can. There is some things I can control and can get done, but haha! All right, so there we go, perfect. So basically now, so this side bolts up to where like the stock location goes to, but this guy is kind of like that other secondary part on the other side to keep this thing all nice and firm, being that it's kind of a little wonky. So it's the other side. Now, when we go to bolt this thing up, it goes in, this can go in, and this guy just kind of pop right there underneath it. So and it's all nice hunky-dory, and there's plenty of thread engagement for us to throw a washer, lock nut, things like that. So sweet. Already this is going to become a whole lot easier. So now to get the last of the fittings so that we can bench bleed this guy, and we can bench bleed these, install them back onto here, and then get it back into the car. So we'll have to hold off on the fittings for the new one, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started on getting the ones that we're still going to be using, or the ones we're reusing, bench bled. So now these lines, the old lines, they're going to get a second life, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to reuse these on the bench bleeder, because what we're going to do is we're going to put one through what feeds through the line, but we're going to rebend this guy because we're not using these again, bend them back to go into the reservoir. That way, whenever you are pushing in the push rod to the bore of the master cylinder, what's going to happen is it's going to take fluid, it's going to circulate it down, go through the line, but the line goes back to the reservoir. So therefore, we can get a nice airless master cylinder. We'll then pop it back onto the master cylinder and rock and roll. So time to fill up the reservoirs with some brake fluid. We're going to feed it so that it will kind of fill up, and we're going to get all of our air bubbles out. As you can see inside, okay, we have our line submerged in brake fluid. Line submerged in brake fluid, and basically all we have to do is, one, tighten this down so that this doesn't go in, it's kind of loose. We're going to tighten everything down, and we're going to push the push rod. Probably might take one of these off, do them one at a time. But we're going to actuate the master cylinder as much as we can. That way we are going to feed out all the air that's stuck in the body of the master cylinder. So whenever we go to install it onto the pedal assembly and then back into the car, it will be 0 air bubbles in the line. And then we just got to worry about the air in the line, but then that should be just your normal brake bleed procedure. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. So pretty much got this one done, but I'm going to try and show you what I'm talking about whenever we're trying to bleed this guy. So line is still submerged, and if I push the push rod, you'll see the fluid. You can see the fluid right there kind of moving through there, but you can see there's no air bubbles. That was what we were trying to get out. The air bubbles actually were pretty quick to get out. It actually got out pretty simple, probably about the 1-2 pumps, but you can see that it's just moving just fluid, and it's not moving any air through that through that reservoir and through that fluid. So, as you can see, this one is all bled. So now we just got to cap this off, seal it up, so that we can move on to the next one. All right, so got these guys bled up. Okay, bled up. Now, so I got these master cylinders, the air bled out completely of them. So we have the cap sealing the reservoir, and then I have these other little caps that are going to try to keep that moisture from getting in there. We at least got these 2 bled. We'll just leave them here for right now, and that way when we get the 3rd one bled, we'll assemble all 3 of them all together, and then we'll use our new mount that we took care of with some new hardware. We'll get that into the car, and at that point, then we need to run these guys. So these will be our this is going to be our new this is our new brake lines. So these are going to be the new brake lines that run from wherever they're routing their plumbing. So front brakes, clutch, the rear brakes, they're going to run from here back into under the dash so that it connects to each one of these master cylinders on the pedal assembly. So it'll be nice, brand new lines. This will seal up really good. I can also take my time and make really nice bends on this tubing, that's another perk. You know, when tubing is bent nice and neatly, it just looks good. So I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'm probably just kind of clean up a little bit, kind of get things some organized. We're going to get the pedals assembled, get the new tubing ran, get it back into the car, bleed all the lines and bleed all the plumbing, get fresh fluid in there so we have good pedal feel for the clutch, and we have a solid pedal for the brakes with the new master cylinders that we were advised by Will with. So stay tuned for the next segment.